Okay, Sam.
Okay. Good evening, everybody. I'd like to open the July Hammonton Board of Education meeting. I will now read the open public meeting statement. This hopefully will be one of the last virtual meetings of the summer, and as we hope to return back to our school in August. July. The New Jersey Open Public Meetings Law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and to attend any meetings of the public bodies at which their interests may be discussed or acted upon. In accordance with this provision of this act, the Hammonton Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be published by having the date, time, purpose, and place therefore published in the Hammonton Gazette on June 10, 2020, and mailed to the Press of Atlantic City and posted on all authorized premises. Can I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Attanassi?
He's still on mute.
Yeah, everyone
Here.
unmute?
Here.
Okay. Mrs. Bernardo?
Here.
Mrs. Burns?
Here.
Mrs. Fallon?
Here.
Mr. Lyons?
Here.
Mr. Pangia is absent.
He is excused along with Mr. Thomas this evening, or excused.
Thank you. Mrs. Polito?
Here.
Mr. Palea?
Here.
Mr. Scipione?
Here.
Mr. Mento?
Present. Thank you. Let us rise for the flag salute. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United
States of America. Oh.
and to the republic for which it
Which
stands,
stands
one
one nation.
good. Full
For liberty and justice.
justice for all. Thank you. We have to work on our flag salute. Sorry. Okay. Again, welcome to the June meeting of the Hammonton Board of Education. This evening we have a relatively light agenda, and I wanted to put out a number early on the meeting for the public to comment. You can again contact us at 609-567-7053. We will take the calls, and from now until the first session of public comment is closed, and we'll go through those. And then there will be a second opportunity at the end of the meeting for anyone in the public wishing to be heard. With that, we will move to our committee reports. And I'll just go around my screen here, and I'll let the next person know. So we'll do a little heads up. So we're going to go ahead and start with Mrs. Bernardo, followed by Mr. Palea.
Okay, good. Thank you.
from Finance.
Tonight for finance on the agenda, you will see the contracts for non-represented employees that need to be okayed. Everyone was emailed the budget details for the 2021 budget year. Our stipends are on the agenda also for some of the bus drivers who work during the food deliveries. We have Synergy Horizon contracts, the professionals that will be on the agenda. We have Chromebooks. I believe that we are at the point where each child now will have a Chromebook. We're ordering 1,375 tablets. The bid threshold was changed from 40,000 to 44,000. And on a happy note, JIF has returned to us a surplus of $10,924. And all trip refunds are being processed. So I'm sure parents are, happy with that. Unfortunately, that's what, the students missed several of the trips that they were anticipating. And just one more thing. I was very happy with the effort to have a great drive-through graduation. And I think that as everyone knows, it's not what we wanted, but it was out of our hands. And, starting with like Shelley Bernardo, Sue Salvatore, organizing all the diplomas, making sure that everything was in order and that everything ran smoothly, especially a thank you to the administrators and the teachers who lined up, on the road of excellence. Thank you to everyone. I think it made the students' day. There were, tears of joy. There were students crying, students laughing, parents were in the cars. Some even had little mini buses. And as I was leaving, I was thinking, you know what? I think they got a little bit more attention this way. than they did at the actual graduation, because they were out there with megaphones, Mrs. Radesky and Marnie Parks, talking about the students as they went by. And, I just want to say good luck to all of them. They will certainly have something to talk about, when they look back on their senior year. But, congratulations and good luck on all your endeavors. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mrs. Bernardo. We'll now go to Mr. Palea, followed by Mrs. Fallon.
Thank you, Mr. President. No report for this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Palea. Mrs. Fallon?
No report from negotiations. Thank you.
Okay. Oh, Ms. Polito, followed by Mr. Scipione.
Unfortunately, I don't have a report also, but I do want to say again, congratulations to all the graduates, and I wish everyone a very safe summer. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Scipione, Community Relations, please.
I do have a report there, Mr. President. The virtual awards and graduation ceremonies are still available on our district website for families to enjoy. And like Ms. Bernardo said, they really were amazing, and got a lot of positive feedback from that. We're now preparing, on a brighter note, and being on the graduation committee, we are now preparing for our in-person celebrations. The following dates were selected and will take place at the high school football field. High school graduation will be July 20th with a rain date of July 21st, beginning at 6 p.m. Middle school graduation will be July 22nd with a rain date of July 23rd, also beginning at 6 p.m. Depending on the number of students participating, we may need to schedule multiple ceremonies for each. I know we sent out a questionnaire, and right now I think we're at one per class. So we're going to see. Each student will also receive 2 tickets to ensure compliance with our crowd capacity. Parents will be receiving a phone call from the school requesting their commitment to participate. And again, this is very, very important. Please answer with how many people are going to attend, because that will decide how many ceremonies we have. Only families wishing to participate will receive tickets to the celebrations. And again, I want to congratulate all our graduates, and hopefully we get to see them one more time. And that is my report for the evening.
Thank you, Mr. Scipione. We will go to Mrs. Burns, followed by Mr. Antonassi, please.
Yes, the curriculum committee did not meet this time. And I too would like to congratulate all of the graduates. And I realized it wasn't the graduation that you had hoped for, but it still has a lot of meaning, and you've weathered this storm tremendously. Good luck to all of you.
Thank you, Mrs. Burns. Mr. Antonassi, please.
No report, Mr. Mento.
Okay, thank you. And then we'll now go to Mr. Lyons, please.
No report tonight. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And quickly from Buildings and Grounds, we did have a virtual meeting, and we went over typical end of year purchases and what we were going to do moving forward with our plan. We actually declined on many of the normal end of year purchases just because we know that there is a tremendous amount of concern right now with our funding being cut. As we've said several times, the district is looking at some $1.5 million in reduction to our income and to our funding. And guys, I have to tell you, we already have that in the budget. So right now, we're looking under every rock. We're trying to shave the budget the best we can. And, there's typical end of year purchases we had to pass on. And hopefully, with the additional money from the federal government going to the states, that we'll get a little bit more, and we'll be able to continue to provide the type of education and the services that we had planned for in this 2021 budget. And with that, something that we were able to do, and I'm very happy about, although Mrs. Bernardo already had mentioned it, was the purchase of all our Chromebooks and iPads, which now our district is 1-to-1. And for those of you who aren't in education or don't quite know what that means, is that's now moving forward next year, every student will have a piece of technology, whether it's an iPad or a Chromebook. And just like we would get a textbook, they will be responsible for taking that to school every day and using it. And God forbid, if we were to have to go to virtual learning once again, we will be better prepared and better, equipped to be able to provide virtual education. So those are the things we're looking to do right now, along with some type of ceremony in July. And please, for those of you who do want to have a graduation ceremony, we do need to hear from you. We've only heard that, of the 370 seniors, 370-ish. We've had about 1/3 of the people respond that they want to do it. So, we need to know what the people want to do. And again, to reiterate Mrs. Bernato's comments earlier, it was a very nice drive-through ceremony. I mean, and you absolutely definitely got a little bit more than a regular graduation when your name's called out as quickly as possible. It was almost like these kids were going into a prize fight or into a WWW wrestling match with Miss Parks and Miss Rudinsky on the bullhorns. It was really a personal touch, although we couldn't physically touch and embrace like we normally would in the graduation situation. There was a connection and a lot of camaraderie. And I want to thank all the teacher staff who participated in that. And again, best of luck to all the graduates. And, I say it all the time, the world needs you. And this is just the beginning. Best of luck. With that, we'll now move to the public comment. Have we taken any calls?
No, there have been no calls.
Okay, seeing there are no comments, I will close the first portion of the public comment. Again, there will be a second portion. The number is 609. I believe it's right there on the screen, 609-567-7053. Okay, we'll now move to the business end of the meeting, and I will entertain a motion for finance items 1 through 26, please.
So moved.
Mrs. Bernato, is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Scipione. Discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Attanasi,
Yes.
Mrs. Bernato,
Yes.
Mrs. Burns,
Yes.
Mrs. Fallon,
Yes.
Mr. Lyons,
Yes.
Mrs. Polito,
Yes.
Mr. Palea,
Yes.
Mr. Scipione,
Yes.
Mr. Mento.
Yes, motion's carried. We'll now take personnel items 27 through 44. Is there a motion, please? Mrs. Polito, is there a second?
Second.
I'm sorry, I didn't.
Mrs. Fallon, second.
Oh, Mrs. Fallon, second. Discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Attanasi,
Yes.
Mrs. Bernato,
Yes.
Mrs. Burns,
Yes.
Mrs. Fallon,
Yes.
Mr. Lyons,
Yes.
Mrs. Polito,
Yes.
Mr. Palea,
Yes.
Mr. Scipione,
Yes.
Mr. Mento.
Yes, motion's carried. We'll now take miscellaneous items 45 through 47. Is there a motion, please?
So moved.
Vote.
Mrs. Bernato and Mr. Scipione, the first and second. Is there discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Attanasi,
Yes.
Mrs. Bernato,
Yes.
Mrs. Burns,
Yes.
Mrs. Fallon,
Yes.
Mr. Lyons,
Yes.
Mrs. Polito,
Yes.
Mr. Palea,
Yes.
Mr. Scipione,
Yes.
Mr. Mento.
Yes, motion's carried. We'll now move to the second portion of the public comment. We will give them a few minutes here to call in. Again, the number is 609-567-7053. We'll give them a couple minutes. Bear with us. Okay, while we're waiting, I will give an update. Although we don't have anything in writing yet, I would like to inform the public that our solicitor was advised by the board to reach out to the diocese to see what the status was with the St. Joe School, particularly the former Hammonton Middle School that we had sold maybe some 20 years ago. As many of you know, there is a reverter clause, which meant in this particular case that if this building did not reopen as an educational institution one comparable to the Hammonton Public School District, it would come back to the possession of our board. And it was a calculated decision by the Board of Education these last 2 or 3 months not to aggressively pursue this building, to recuperate the building. We had felt that St. Joe needed to work out what they were going to do. And the last thing that we wanted to do as a board is to create the perception or even the reality that we are pushing and we are trying to, or we are part of the problem or the reason why St. Joe would or would not make it. With that being said, it does look like there's going to be some type of separation. And our solicitor, when he heard from the representative from the church, confirmed that they are moving out. It's just right now, it's a large building, it's a school. It's full of desks, personal items, and things they need to remove. So as St. Joe, or I should say the church, goes through and cleans that out, the board will be entertaining to lease this school in the future. Again, there would be restrictions to where we're hoping to keep it an educational institution. So we've tasked our attorney to continue to stay in contact with the diocese. And at the same time, it is our hope as a district that we would be able to possibly turn this right back over into a school via a lease to another entity, whether it be an academy or another type of school that is equivalent to the Hammonton School District. And, you know, we'll just have to see how that goes moving forward. But I just wanted the public to be aware of what the situation was. And although we haven't been aggressively trying to pursue, you know, this building, we're well aware of the situation, and we have had dialogue with St. Joe Strong and some other people, and we will be looking to lease this as a educational institution. I see a memo coming. Do we have a phone call?
Yes, we have heard from a Roe Hunter, 704 Dana Drive, Atco. She wanted to thank everyone for the drive-through graduation. She said, I know it was a lot of work. You did an amazing job. Thanks to board members especially, administration, and the staff. And I did hear the phone ring again. So we can just wait again.
Pretty long question. Might be a two-parter.
It was very nice of her to call in and say that there was a lot of work that went into that graduation. So I'm happy.
Yes.
She's a board member in Waterford.
Oh, is she?
Okay.
Mr. Donio, did we have another resolution tonight?
I don't need a resolution. I got the direction I needed from the board with regards to the various items in executive session. I'll be bringing something back for the board.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Donio. Also, do we need to put together something formally for the litigation for Kappa, or were we talking about?
Well, I was referencing that first
Okay.
and foremost. You know, I have my direction from the board, and just to reiterate, I understand my direction from the board is to work expeditiously on the reverter provision. It is my understanding after conversations with the diocese, what is now St. Joe High School, which was the old Hammonton Middle School, which was the old Hammonton High School, is coming back to the Board of Education, but we want to make the best use of it. And we believe that, you know, one of those things to do is to take all the necessary measures to get that so that it is an operating school similar to the local public school district.
Thank you. Ms.
Mr.
Prettyman,
Men-
you have that question?
Yes.
Yeah.
We have heard from Summerlee Monahan, 553 11th Street in Hammonton. And she wants to know if the board is establishing a reopening committee and if parents can be on that committee.
Well, I'll turn it over to Mr. Gecko, but as you know, we have a SAC committee, which is, comprised of school, community members, parents. And we have brought, some of the questions to them, and we have some surveys. But as far as a committee, we have board committees. We have many committees, opening committees, buildings and grounds, health and safety, that all have been working towards, opening safely. I'll turn it over to Ms. Gecko if she wants to talk about how is the best way to get input from the parents.
Absolutely. Yes, we definitely want it to be a transparent operation. We're waiting to get some more specifics in terms of the guidelines, but parents are going to be utmost importance in determining what they feel will be safe. We have asked in those other meetings that Mr. Mento mentioned, the SAC meeting, what parents were concerned about in terms of reopening. There will be additional surveys. We did have the survey, it's still posted in real time for parents to write in and comment on what they felt about remote learning and any other types of concerns they might have. So we'll be going through those comments as well, because it will take a concerted effort with all groups. All stakeholders will be very important in terms of making sure when we open our schools, everyone feels safe, and we'll be following all the guidelines that we need to follow to make sure that the health and safety of our students are first.
Thank you, Ms. Gecko. Are there any other questions, Ms. Prettyman?
No, there are no other calls.
Okay, seeing there are no more questions from the public, we will close the second portion of the public comment. And without an addendum this evening, I will entertain that last motion of the night. A motion to adjourn, please.
Motion.
Sam,
Mr. Antonassi?
Sam,
Yes, Mr. Chappelle?
is there any way to go back into close for 5 minutes after we're done or no?
We can go into close. Mr. Donio, then we would have to come back out into open to close the meeting formally.
Yeah, and quite frankly, I don't know from a logistics
All right, that's
standpoint
fine. That's fine.
how to do that, but
No,
you
that's fine.
can't stop the meeting and go back into close. If you want to go entertain a motion to go into executive session, you absolutely can. And you can do that at this time. I just don't know from a logistics, considering we're zooming it from I don't know if we go offline, back online, what have.
I understand. So without any anticipated action by the board, we will close the open session and we will go in as a board to close session for a few minutes. So this will be the conclusion of the open session this evening. And I'd ask the members to stay on, and we're going to go back into close. Okay, I'll take
So
them.
so the meeting is not adjourned, correct?
Correct. We
That's
have
correct.
a motion. We have a motion to adjourn from Mr. Antonassi without a second. So
Okay, very
Yeah,
good.
but we won't be taking any action, I'm assuming, from our closed. So,
That's correct.
it's just a formality to go back. So we don't have to be live on Zoom to reopen and close, correct?
Well, I mean, there's no guidance for this. I mean, you really should.
I love it when you give me that look, Will. I love it.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's no guidance on it. I think we can articulate to the public, we're not going to be taking any action. And I'm confident that we will be in compliance with the spirit of the Open Public Meetings Act as amended during this time to allow for these virtual type meetings. We've had 2 public sessions, but again, I just want to make sure that the record would reflect it was only for a few minutes. I don't think it would be appropriate to say we're only going to go in for a few minutes and then have a hour-long discussion.
okay, we will go into a closed session for no longer than 15 minutes. Is there a motion to do so?
And you won't be coming back out to adjourn in front of the public. You're just going to adjourn at that point,
Correct.
right?
So-
Okay. So you're going
I
to stop
make
your
the
live
motion.
streaming now.
I'm asking once again then for a motion to go into closed session, please.
I make the motion.
Okay, Mr. Shipion, seconded by Mr. Shipion. Okay, so this is the conclusion for the public portion of the June meeting of the Hammonton Board of Education. Again, I'd like to wish our graduates the best of luck in their future endeavors, and all returning students a very healthy and safe summer. And like my grandfather always said, read a book. Thank you and good night.
Okay, I'm just going to ask you to pause before you start speaking until I make